freeway sign. And then when you look at the autopsy photos that Jay mentioned earlier, there's only a shot to the back of the head. There's not a shot to the side of the head. So if he got shot in the back of the head, his head would go forward in the Zapruder film, but it went back into the left, as meaning that if it was a shot, then it would have had to have come from his right side. It could not have come from behind him.
Okay, so I'm
from the book depository, because if it would have hit him in the back of the head, his head would have went forward, and he would have went forward over onto his lap. But instead, he goes back this way.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So I mean, if I might just pick up on that point, Jane, I'll pick straight up with you. I suppose. I mean, I'm no expert on the Warren report and the official explanations, but I seem to recall being told certainly the official explanation was a direct shot to the back of the head, an exit wound at the front. And the thing that was used to explain this not toppling over in the car was this idea that JFK had some sort of back brace that kept him held up straight. There is a little bit of a sway, and then he seems to go straight back up. I don't know if that's something you're aware of or anything you considered regarding that.
Yeah, we show that in the film, that he wears a back brace. He had Addison's disease, which is a deterioration of the nervous system. And we show him with crutches, and yes, so that I don't know if a brace could do that or not, because I don't know the nature of the brace, but there's two things that have to be said. First, there's a splice at 212, frame 212. There's 4 frames missing, and it happens to be coincidental just when JFK's limousine goes behind the Stemmons freeway sign. Okay.
So Jay, to do this again, but just so everyone knows, because we're talking sort of technical language here, a splice, I assume, is when they connect a piece of negative because there's missing frame. Would I be correct?
Yeah, there's 4 frames missing, 211 through 207. And here's the thing, is that Time Life was in control of the Zapruder film. Almost immediately, they bought it from Abraham Zapruder. All right. The Warren Commission requested that Time Life give them a copy, which they did, but Time Life never told them that there was 2 splices in the film, which is tampering with evidence. So the Warren Commission used the Zapruder film as their timeline, not knowing that there'd been a splice in there and that there were 4 frames missing. Time Life didn't even admit this until 1967. And they've never explained, well, how did the splice happen? Who did it? What was the name of the technician? Why did it happen? What's going on? And we point out in the film, there's a color balance change right after that splice. It goes from a reddish hue to a bluish hue. That would indicate that they were using daylight Kodachrome. That's what Zapruder was using, and that they used an optical printer after the splice, because you would use indoor Kodachrome, which has a bluish tint, if you're doing it on an optical printer. And it's clearly, you can see that the people in the background behind the limousine are as big or even bigger than the people in the limousine, which is impossible on an optic level. So it looks to us like they optically use an optical printer after the splice, and that is probably the whole reason for the splice.
Okay, and in regards to the Zapruder film and the work you did on it, how did you, which source did you use to do it? Where did you obtain your copy of the Zapruder film from?
They sell it. You can buy the DVD on Amazon.
So a commercial source.
Yeah. But it's completely, they've got frames and everything, so you can go through it. It's the enhanced Oliver Stone version.
Is it not possible that film was edited and frames were missing because for commercial reasons or previous attempts to restore it, rather than the original one that was handed in as evidence as missing frames?
Time Life in 1967. No copies of the Zapruder film were out at all in 1967. They admitted that there were 2 splices in the film, so nobody had made a copy of it, as far as I know. The first copies showed up. They were purloined, I don't know how, out of Time Life around 1970 was the first copies of the Zapruder film. Very grainy. You couldn't see anything. People thought the driver did it because you couldn't really tell what was going on. But there is one thing in the Zapruder film which I want to bring up. Right after Kennedy exits the Stemmons freeway sign, where the splice is, everybody in that limousine except for Jackie is staring at JFK. The driver is staring at him, the Secret Service guy next to the driver, John Connolly and John Connolly's wife, all their heads are turned looking at Kennedy. Why are they looking at him? Unless there's something going on. Yet nothing's going to go on for another 2 seconds. So how are they anticipating that there's going to be a shot or whatever it is, the reason that they're looking back? Well, the reason they're looking back at him because he put the sting on his head. And they're waiting for it they're waiting to watch it. They're going to watch the thing. And
it might be worth just pointing out at this point that you advocate or propose this idea of a almost like movie prop squib explosion, as if this was orchestrated, and you put forward the idea that Jackie actually helped orchestrate this, certainly in the technical aspects of it, pulling a string, etc. So it's almost like a movie prop explosion. I mean, just going back to this idea of them staring at his head before anything happens, was this not in response to a first shot that struck him, I believe, in his back? Or, I mean, it
they say he got shot in the neck. They say that there was a shot. He got shot in the neck, but there's no blood. And a hunter could tell you that where you want to hit an animal is in the neck because it bleeds out almost instantly, and then you don't have to chase the animal. So if he got hit in the neck, literally every artery in the human body goes through the neck. You talk to guys who've seen somebody with a neck wound. It would be blood everywhere. It would be spraying all over the back seat of the car, all over Jackie, all over him. Jackie gets out, and there's a picture of her, and she's got, on her dress, about a spot of blood, hardly any blood at all, about this big on her dress. That's it. From a guy who has a head wound and a neck wound. And that's all. That's all the blood that there is. A reporter went and took a picture of the back seat of the car at Parkland Hospital, and there's just a couple drops of blood. A couple drops.
Right. I just want to pick up on this idea of Jackie, this iconic scene of, this moment of Jackie climbing on the, would you say, I suppose that's the trunk in America, isn't it? The rear of the car, climbing on the back of the car, and obviously being, ushered back into a seat by a Secret Service agent. That's become quite iconic. And what official reasons has ever been put forward as to why she behaved that way? I know why you explain why you think she was behaving that way in the film, but has there ever been an official explanation to tell us what she was doing there?
She claims that that some of his brains fell onto the trunk, but the enhances of Bruder film shows no blood, no brains, nothing on the back except something that Jackie is retrieving that you can see is clearly there on the trunk, and but there's no blood anywhere on the trunk. That's one of the things I'm so thankful for the enhanced version of the Bruder film, because both John Connolly and one of the Secret Service agents that just came out both said that they saw blood on the back trunk of the car and brain matter, but there ain't any. It would be very clear to see, and there isn't any. We have a 4K 24 frame version of it, and we even have a slowed down version of it. No brain matter flies from Kennedy's head to the back of the car. None.
Right. I don't know if you want an opportunity to just build on the back of what Jay was saying there. Any thoughts you want to share?
It is really interesting, Stephen, that there is no blood, because if there was 3 shots that rang out that day, one hitting JFK in the neck, the next one missing, and another one hitting JFK in the head, there is no blood. And then also the third one hitting John Connolly in the back, which is supposedly the magic bullet that got all the conspiracy theorists in an uproar, which turns out that was a complete and utter fabrication as well. So regardless if you believe what we're saying or not, the magic bullet theory is complete nonsense, and that's where all of the conspiracy theories have all come up from. Paul Landis just came out and admitted, me and Jay just did a show on this the other day on his channel, and Paul Landis came out and said that he planted the magic bullet in the stretcher of JFK, that he took it out of the limousine.
And it was sitting on the seat. He found it sitting on the seat of the back seat of the limousine. And this is a trained Secret Service guy. He was supposed to not touch that bullet. You're supposed to put it in a container, not touch it, give it to the right forensic people, let them examine it. But what does he do? Jackie Kennedy's top Secret Service agent picks the bullet up and takes it into Parkland Hospital and drops it on the stretcher. the wrong stretcher.
I mean, isn't it also